Hey guys, I'm Katie.
And I'm Alexis, and this is the Check Your Aesthetic podcast.
I was going to say we haven't recorded in forever, but we had a whole failed recording
We
last
had an
week.
entire lost episode.
Yeah, so to the elephant in the room that I don't think anybody really cares that much about. We did have a week off.
Yeah.
We recorded with a guest, and there was Wi-Fi. It was like technical difficulties, which we always have, but this time it was just not savable, which is sad.
Yeah. And I felt so bad because this is someone that like we had been trying to like record with for like a while,
Yeah.
and then like it just didn't work.
I know, but any of you that are listening that are podcasters or just have long distance friends, you know the struggle of technical difficulties. They can really just take you down.
Yes. And like I think just like long distance friendships and like relationships, like because I feel like you and I have like a friendship obviously, but then also I feel like we have like a working relationship too.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like it's more than just like our friendship, but
yeah,
it's so like just everything like technology and like timing and like scheduling and stuff. It's so difficult.
And us being in different time zones, like sometimes I just like get confused, even though I know like at this point I know that I'm 1 hour ahead of you, like, or behind you, I guess.
Behind me, yeah.
But like I still get so confused.
Right. Well, we'll just say like, oh, let's do it at 3, but then we don't clarify.
Yeah, or like with guests, like gets confusing anyway, but enough of that. You guys don't really care. But me and Alexis haven't talked a lot because we've been really busy with, I have midterms this week for school. So I had like a presentation, and then I had this paper that was supposed to be 5 to 7 pages. And of course mine was 14 pages.
Nice.
I'm probably going to get points off for that. But she gave us like 6 separate like sections of this paper. I'm like, how am I supposed to fit 6 sections of a paper in like plus pictures? Like, no, girl. So I just turned in my 14-page paper. I said, enjoy. For you.
Yeah, I had my brother's wedding this past weekend. So then it was really kind of felt like catch up.
Yeah.
And then also I have this huge group project, and it's with like group projects online is also so odd.
Group projects like, online and group projects in grad school, in my opinion, is BS. Like, don't do that.
It's so it's just like kind of the worst. Thankfully, one of the girls that I'm working with, I really, really like her. She and I have like we exchange phone numbers, and we've been texting like pretty much all day, every day about this stupid group project.
Yeah.
But it's so frustrating also because the topic of the class is just like, it feels like a class that I just have to take in order to graduate. It's not really one that will like add to my career in any way.
Yeah.
And because she and I are in different majors, and she knows what my major is, and she was like, this doesn't really help your career at all, does it? And I was like, nope.
What is it? Is it your research class?
It's my research class. So like basically, and her major is like industry design or something like that. So the class is it's contextual research in design or something like that. And the project is, we have like, there's 3 different topics, and you could some people got put in these groups, and then some people got to choose out of the ones that were like created. But my group is work from home, which like the ideal experience of working from home, which works out really well for me because I work from home. But literally I have to like hold interviews like right after this. Katie, I'm interviewing Katie about working from home, and like it just doesn't apply to my career like literally at all. And if anything, the girl that I'm doing the project with, she was like, I feel like this more so relates to like the teams that you will be leading and like what they'll be doing. So I was like, that's a good way of thinking of it. So like at least I'm learning like contextual knowledge.
I mean everything is like
whatever.
I what I learned in college is like, although because I created my own major, as you guys know, but even the classes that I felt were like only a little bit related, like I still gained something. Like I took a film production class,
totally.
And like I'm never going to be a videographer, but I learned a lot of skills about like framing and stuff that like, I mean, I have to film TikToks, so
right,
you know,
so, and you did the majority of the photography for our trip too. So
yeah. So I know how to use a camera and all that. So anyway, but yeah. So we've both been crazy busy and we haven't talked that much.
yes.
I just finally have gotten a break, and I wanted to talk about this. I started this new show. I told Alexis about it. I started it yesterday. I've already watched one whole season, but it's called Shrill, and it's on Hulu, and it's basically just about like being a plus size woman and just trying to be that and be that in like your
society,
20s and like
yeah, right.
date and like have a job and like stuff like that. And it has made me cry so many times, not even the sad parts, like the happy parts too, have made me cry so many times. So if you are plus size or like really, it doesn't even matter what size you are.
Right.
I would definitely recommend watching it. It's really well done. But I don't know, it just feels good for
good perspective.
yeah, I mean, like there's not really a lot of shows
with representation
yeah. So I feel like just a lot of the stuff that I was like, I don't know if it's just me. This show's like, it's not just you. I'm like, oh really?
Right.
Thanks.
Totally.
But it's very, very good. So I just wanted to plug that if anybody needs a new show to watch. I also started watching Ted Lasso with my best friend McLean, and she has Apple TV and I don't, Apple TV Plus, and so I can only watch it when I'm with her, but it's very good too. Very, very good, very funny, easy to watch. But
Austin and I never watch new shows, really only ever rewatch shows. So I've been hearing a lot about Squid Game, and like
me too, but I've heard it's like very sad.
Yeah, I've heard that it's very sad, and I want to watch it, but Austin does not really want to watch it. And like with how busy my schedule is, anytime that I'm gonna watch TV, he is also watching TV. So like I feel like I haven't had any opportunity to watch anything that only I want to watch.
You guys should watch Ted Lasso. You would both really like it. It's like Austin would like it. You just got to give it a shot.
Okay.
But it's very good. Anyway. But I'm like talking. It's like my turn to talk. I'm like, have this water like up to my mouth. I'm just gonna give that a minute. But yeah, I've recently been, I go through these phases where like sometimes I'm like, I'm never watching TV again, and I'm actually just gonna be the most productive person ever. So nobody talks to me and I'm throwing my TV out the window, to like, let me watch one season of TV in a day and actually not talk to anybody. So
yeah, I literally have not gone to the gym in so long because I had like I had my whole like health thing, and like so that like I literally was told, do not go to the gym, you are not allowed to go to the gym. So that was kind of like valid excuse, but then I've definitely like pulled that in. Also, Dad, I know you're listening. Do not text me. Please don't message me that I need to go to the gym. I already know. I really don't need you to tell me. It's fine. My dad literally messaged anytime. Oh yeah. Also, this now counts, Dad. I have mentioned you. He gets upset when I don't mention him enough. Yeah.
No way.
He'll text me and be like, you mentioned Mom, but you didn't mention me. I'm like, okay.
Meanwhile, I don't actually think that I've ever talked about my parents when you're,
you said like your dad's a lawyer, and that's like it.
Yeah. My mom is amazing. She's great. Shout out to Mom. They don't listen. So, you know, but yeah, I've been just kind of, I think that something that's just so hard when like people like us like doing so many things is like finding a routine, because for me, like my work hours change every week. Like today, for example, it's Wednesday and I'm not working because I need to work more Friday. So like my work hours change every single week based on like photo shoots and things that are scheduled, because I'm part-time, but like there's certain things that I have to go to. And then my business stuff is just a whirlwind. I mean, everybody knows that changes every week. And like currently I have 0 ideas. So I'm just like sitting here like, I don't know I have no ideas.
I mean, for me, like literally my schedule changes like on a dime. Like the schedule that I had planned for my day at the beginning of the day is not at all what happened.
Exactly. Like, mine's the same way. And like, as far as like errands and stuff, like I'm just really bad at sticking to things that I set for myself. I need to get better at that. But like, I don't know, a lot of times I'm like, oh, I really don't feel like doing that today, but I need to be better about disciplining myself. But the gym, I have had the issue of, so I go to a boxing workout class, so there's obviously only certain times available. And I was trying to do it in the mornings because that's like the only time I really have time because of school and work and everything. I can't wake up like that. Like I was starting to get so like tired and dizzy during the day. Like I just could not wake up like that. And like I just don't think it's in the cards for me to be waking up at 5:45.
Like exhausted.
Yeah. Like, and like I'm just like naturally somebody who can't really fall asleep at like 10. So I don't know. Anyway, so I'm trying to figure out how to work that into my schedule. But also everybody, countdown is on. 21 days until I see Harry Styles.
I knew it.
I've waited 2 years. Excited. I bought these tickets 2 years ago.
Yeah, no.
Literally 2 years ago when I was a junior in college. And now I am going, and I am 1 year out of college.
Yeah.
Or like not a whole year, but you know, like that's 1 year crazy.
Yeah. That is very exciting. I know you're gonna be like, I feel like we can't record that week because you're gonna be like not focused.
I'm really excited.
We're gonna have to plan ahead.
Yeah, it's on a random Wednesday, so that's kind of dumb. But anyway, we already are recording the day before, so.
Oh, good.
It's just too bad for me.
Good.
Anyway, okay, well, in this week's episode, if you guys were wondering, as you can see from the title,
10 minutes for us to
literally, we're going to be talking about sort of imposter syndrome as like a young professional woman in the workplace. Yeah. And I mean, it's not like we're talking about like women super specifically, but like we are women. So, you know,
that's our perspective.
The perspective we have, but just kind of talking about, and I've talked about this a lot with my coworkers, just kind of like the idea of like learning while you're working and like understanding that you're still like valuable to your company regardless of,
even if you don't know, like you're not supposed to know everything. And I think also part of it is like, because we were prepping for this episode and kind of talking about what we would talk about, and I mentioned how we both are like complete perfectionists, and I think that totally goes into like what's difficult about having imposter syndrome or struggling with imposter syndrome is like, at least I know personally, Katie and I have talked about this, so I know she feels the same way, but personally, I'm such a perfectionist to the level of there have been times and instances where if I know that I'm not going to be perfect at something, I'd rather like completely not do it. And I will stop myself from doing that thing from the fear of like showing up and not being perfect.
Yeah.
And so I think just like recognizing that no matter what your age is, I mean, we're talking about being in your 20s, but I think no matter what stage of life you're in, no matter where you are, whether you're 15, 25, 55, you always have time to grow and opportunity to learn more. And I think just like recognizing that and understanding that is really important, which I'm still honestly learning how to do.
100%. And this is more just us talking about our experience so that you guys can relate to us rather than saying like, this is how you get over it, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But
because we don't know how.
But imposter syndrome, just for those of you who don't know, it's defined as a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. And of course, there's different like levels of this, but in my experience, I think that one, being in social media, I don't know if any of you guys who work in social media feel like this, but a lot of times when I tell people that, they're like, oh, that's a cute, fun job.
Right.
That's a fun, cute job. Like, oh, that's so fun. Like, that must be so fun. I'm like, yeah, it's fun, but like, it's not just like.
It's work. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not like I'm just going in and posting random things on social media every day. Like, first of all, I have to do a lot of design as well.
Right.
And so
strategy. And
I mean, you guys know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you all the things I have to do. But you know, that's just like one side of the coin. And another thing that this is sort of off base with like imposter syndrome, but this is kind of just like the things that kind of make you feel that way, I guess, in the first place, or make me feel that way. My coworkers and I were talking about how, so we are a company of like 5 women, and the oldest one's 30 and I'm the youngest, I'm 22. So we're pretty young. My boss, the CEO, is 27. So we were kind of talking about how all the time clients come in and call us like, oh, girls, like, hey, girls, like, y'all are such sweet girls, like this and that, which like, you know, people don't really mean it that way, but like, it kind of makes you feel small, you know?
Kind of,
and so like, I think a lot of that is the basis of where this imposter syndrome comes from, because I kind of feel like if people keep telling you all that, like, if you keep hearing things like that, especially as a woman, you kind of think like, oh, well, there's no way like this is not hard of a job, like you internalize that in your head and don't really give yourself credit.
Right.
And like think like, oh, well, I'm just winging it, like stuff like that. So
or even saying stuff about your small business, not just like, oh, I'm social media manager, and they think you're just like posting willy-nilly on social media, but also saying like, yeah, I run a small business, and like I know me previously, like, oh, what do you sell? Like, oh, I do, stickers and whatever. I mean,
yeah,
honestly, to be completely honest, I would a lot of the time just say, not even mention my Etsy, and just say that I do freelance graphic design and
yeah,
illustration, because it was just easier, and like I didn't feel like it was gonna get that response that I didn't want.
yeah, yeah. And I think that that's just like kind of the basis behind it. And so I think like knowing like where those feelings come from, I sound like a therapist, like knowing like what makes you feel like that, and realizing like the people calling me and my coworkers girls, like like my boss is running a whole business.
Right.
We have work all the time. Like we're not just some little girls that are doing some fun graphic design. And so realizing that, I think,
and the people saying that most likely do not know that
they don't mean it like that.
Yeah, they don't mean it like that.
No, and I think there's a lot of, I'm not trying to go on like a girl power rant,
feminism,
but I mean, I think that there's a lot of things that like people don't necessarily realize, that like sometimes it really doesn't bother me. Like in the moment, like it kind of depends on the instance. Like somebody saying girls is not an insult, but if you keep getting told over and over, like, oh girls, like nobody would come up to a group of men at a workplace and go, hey boys, like,
right.
No one's doing that,
right.
like that's not happening. So it's just kind of like realizing those things and just like knowing where all that comes from. But something that's been hard for me is, so I created my own major, graduated college. Because I created my own major, like I said, I kind of just had a jumbled up classes where I grabbed some information from here, some information from here. A lot of it I just pushed on out because it wasn't really relevant to me. But because of that, there's a lot of things that I don't know. And there's a lot of things that I have to research like literally every single day. And I'm really lucky to work somewhere where that is so like, they have made it very well known that that's okay. Every single person at my work is like researching something. We have graphic designers who, are working with new web design platforms every day, like not every day, but, having to research like things like that. Like, and that's very okay in my workplace. And I'm very lucky, but I think realizing like, I think it gets hard when you start to get paid and when you start to negotiate pay, especially negotiating pay. Or like asking for a raise or something, it's hard to realize like you're still valuable. And in my opinion, and in my boss's opinion, people when they're hiring are looking more for somebody willing to grow rather than somebody who's so set and thinks they know everything and won't grow at all, especially in a field like social media. If you're not willing to grow, in about 2 months, you're going to be behind the times.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, for me, I have like a very different situation where, and I think that for me, my imposter syndrome within my career with Eat Smarter is really large, because I do not have like any training school wise based on or like surrounding social media. So to have my title be head of social media, like sometimes I literally like laugh out loud. I'm like, okay, yep, sure. And I mean, not that I think I'm bad at my job. I think that I do like, a good job. Like Pinterest, we're like over 1 million, like I think I'm doing fine, but it is hard sometimes, especially because, I am the only paid individual at Eat Smarter for the social media team. The only others are unpaid interns. So like when it comes to social media, I am the one that's being asked questions. I'm not the one asking questions. And so I think and I think that also, no matter what if you're in more of like a corporate setting, I think that at some point, especially when you are in that like kind of transitional age that I am starting to get to, you start switching from I mean, no matter what, you are always welcome to ask questions, I would hope, in any career, but I think that this is the age when you start to be asked questions. and it's kind of like a new thing for me, and
Mm-hmm.
it is like very intimidating and definitely can spark my imposter syndrome to kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, literally just today, 3 hours ago, I had a team meeting with everyone, and I was asked very blunt, direct questions about social media and about our analytics, and I had to have responses.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think within imposter syndrome, I think a lot of it is just like confidence,
Oh
which
yeah.
there's no like cure for like, here you go, confidence. Like there's no such thing as that. But
Yeah.
I think just like knowing that it's okay. And I think like how you said that with your team, that it's okay to not know everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that in a work environment is really important. Not that I don't
Definitely.
feel that I can't ask questions. It's more so that I don't have anyone to ask questions
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Like my question place is Google. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really it.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, I'm the only one who does social media at
Right,
my
right.
job. So when it comes to social media, I'm researching things, but like regardless, like getting another opinion is also really
Right.
helpful. And like realizing that asking somebody, oh, does this look good? It doesn't mean that you were bad or
Stupid.
that your
Yeah,
opinion,
right.
like, I think
Right.
it's collaborating is so important. And the amount of times that I've been like, oh, does this look good? And they're like, yeah, it looks good, but what if you did it this way? And it looks so much better.
Mhm.
Or like sounds better if it's a caption, or, you know, regardless of what field you're in. I think like collaborating is so important, and it's really all about like ego. And like, I think it's not to say if you don't have imposter syndrome, you have a big ego. Like that's not what's going on here.
Mhm.
But like kind of realizing like you don't look stupid for asking a question, you look willing to grow for asking a question. Like, and I think that is a really valuable
Right.
thing that
Right.
employers look for. And I think another thing that's important, like you said, it's about confidence. With imposter syndrome, I feel like a lot of the ways that it's affected me has been like, oh, I can't apply to this, I'm not qualified, like I can't do this, I'm not
Yeah.
qualified. And I think like when you're in the industry, like, you know, like whatever industry you're in, you might be, you know, this is the person that knows the most ever about this topic, and this is the person who knows the least. You might be, you know, here, you know, you're not necessarily right here, but
Mhm.
think about who's hiring you. It's people who don't even do what you do at all. Like,
Right.
you know,
Right.
they're looking for somebody who's going to grow with their company. They're looking for somebody who's going to be willing to collaborate with them. They're looking for somebody who has fresh creative ideas, you know, things like that. Everybody's looking for different things, but like you're not, you know, necessarily going. Basically what I'm trying to say is sometimes I say things at work about social media that I think are common sense, and my coworkers
100%.
have
Yep.
no idea. So you don't even realize like
You don't
what
realize how
the
much you
depth of what you
actually
know.
know. Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think that, especially when it comes to social media, because a lot of it is not stuff that I've researched. It's just stuff that I've like grown to know through experience and through trial and error with my own business. So
Yeah.
that happens to me so much where I just think that they know something and then they're like, what?
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
no, another point that I thought of is I think asking questions and being very honest and like just upfront about what you do and do not know
Oh
is
yeah.
actually a good thing because it
100%.
shows one, it shows honesty. So if you're in an interview situation and you don't know the answer to something, it's much better. And actually, now that I think about it, when I was interviewing interns, I did
Yeah.
have a situation wherein I could tell that the intern or potential intern did not know what I was talking about, but they were frankly BSing me. And of course, that person did not get the job because I could see right through it, not to be like too blunt, but I could. So I think being really honest shows that not only you're being clear with what you know and what you don't know, but it also shows that you're willing to learn and willing to grow and that you have that growth opportunity in their company. They aren't always looking, because I think that that's a mindset that I had going into interviewing and I
Oh yeah.
consistently do, that they're trying to look for like the best person.
Mm-mm.
They're not. They're trying to find the
No.
best person for that position
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that you can grow with.
Exactly. And I think like for me, recognizing that you just graduated college, there is not one single person at your age that knows everything.
Right.
There is not. And realizing that like you still deserve to be paid, you're doing work. And for me, researching and doing all of that is part of my time at work. Like that's important. And my coworkers do the same things, you know. It's not like I used to think, and I still sometimes feel like whatever, like when I'm at work, I need to be doing things 24/7, need to be like, right, like whatever. But like there is so much value for your employer in you like researching, or like, you know, like for me, it's like looking up social media trends, like looking up, you know, whatever it is for your industry. But like that is such important like stuff to be doing. And I feel like I think it's hard to put yourself in the mind of like an employer. And of course, this is different. There are toxic work environments where they, you know,
want you to be
doing that. And, you know, try to avoid those if you can.
Right.
But I think like not letting, and the real thing with imposter syndrome is you don't want to let it hold you back. Like you don't want to let it hold you back from applying to a job or, you know, taking a chance or, you know, and for me, it's like sometimes there's things that I do at work. I spend, you know, hours on something or, you know, whatever. And then it turns out being not good and doesn't work. That's okay too. You know, like you're learning and growing with your work. And that's, especially in a creative industry, extremely normal.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you're bad at your job. It doesn't mean that you're not worth what you're getting paid. It doesn't mean any of that. And I think recognizing your hard work is important. And that's something that you and I are horrible at.
So bad at. And I think
literally horrid.
Literally horrible. And I think like within perfectionism, like how you said that it's going to hold you back. Like I think that my mentality, as I'd say, I mean, to be completely honest, I've been a perfectionist probably my entire life, but I'd say like probably 15 years old until probably 22, 21. My mentality was like, I'm a perfectionist and that is how I'm going to succeed. That is how I'm going to get ahead. That's how I'm going to be just successful in my life and in my career, is because I'm a perfectionist, because I always have to have things a certain way. And that's a trait that I admire. And it's not, I'm not saying that that's not a trait that I shouldn't admire, or it's not a trait I should not admire, whatever.
It's not a trait you should admire. You're not saying that it's not a trait you should admire.
Yes. Wait, it's not a trait that I shouldn't admire. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Whatever. But within that, I think you should not prioritize being perfect at literally everything. No. Because that's actually going to set you back. And I think that it has set me back, because if you think about it in terms of a job, you can be perfect at, let's say, when I was 9 years old, I sold, I was 9, I was not being paid. I know that this is kind of like illegal, but I think it was volunteer work, so whatever. But I sold donuts at our county fair when I was 9 years old. I was perfect at that. I was so amazing. Wow. I could continue doing that as a 24-year-old because I'm perfect at it. Or I could continue on and put myself in an insecure, vulnerable state.
Yes.
And push myself a little bit into something that I don't fully know. And maybe I'm a little bit scared of, but if you push yourself, then you can eventually learn those things and grow your skills and exceed.
That's the only way that you grow. Like if you're stagnant doing the same things and you've become a complete expert at it, there's nowhere else for you to go, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's nowhere else for you to go. So even the people who are at the top of the industry are still pushing themselves every day. Think about Apple.
Right.
If Apple just stuck with the iPhone, whatever, 9. No. Was there an iPhone 9? No. 8. iPhone 8. Was there an iPhone 8? Yeah.
Yes.
If Apple just stuck with the iPhone 8, everybody would still have them.
Right.
But they wouldn't be pushing themselves to grow.
Right.
And they are. And I think that that's like, of course, like Apple's like a giant example, but it's Pinterest it's all over Pinterest. It's like, you can't grow when you're comfortable or something, you know, you don't grow in your comfort zone, things like that. But I think like recognizing that while you should not have imposter syndrome and think that you are not worthy, imposter syndrome is not the same thing as being slightly uncomfortable, you know, like growing. Like I think separating those things is really important, because imposter syndrome is thinking like, I shouldn't have this job, I'm not good enough for this job, like why am I getting paid this much, I can't do this, like they're paying me too much, I'm not worth this. And then being uncomfortable is thinking like, you know, I may not know exactly how to do this, but you know what I'm ready to do is learn. Like,
right.
it's
Because
a
I think
mindset shift.
you can kind of like sit in uncomfortability, like, and I think
Discomfort.
discomfort. Yes, thank you. Wow, this episode is just us not knowing how to speak.
Literally.
But no, I don't want to sound too like boss baby, but like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, we're not really about that. But I
No.
think that there's some quote out there in the boss babe world that's like about how you're not going to grow unless you sit in like some or you're not going to grow unless you do something that scares you or something like that.
Yeah,
And I do think that there is truth to that.
I
Like
agree.
I think you shouldn't only be doing things that scare you.
No.
That's a little bit too much,
Yeah.
but I think being it I think you said it well that like that fine line between um feeling unworthy and
Yes.
feeling uncomfortable. I think that
Exactly.
that's
Exactly.
very
Yeah, and I
different.
think like especially in a creative industry, like if you are willing to take a chance and maybe do something that you're not 100% sure how it's going to go or 100% sure of how everything's going to like pan out for you, then that's when you're going to get the best results. Like,
Right.
in my
Right.
opinion, it's not like you should like throw caution to the wind every single day and like
Right.
do crazy things.
Right.
And it's good to have a plan, but like my boss, for example, like she went on a limb starting her agency, and then now like I work there and 4 other people work there, you know.
Right.
So I think like it's just really important to be willing to like be uncomfortable, and all of this really it's a mindset shift from thinking that
Totally.
you're not worthy to realizing like no, I am. And truly, in my opinion, the worst place that you can get in is a place where you feel like you can't grow, for me. And that's
Oh,
in my
100%.
personal
Yeah.
life too. Like I think the same thing goes for your personal life. Like, you know, would it be super easy for me to go live in my mom's house and have all of my stuff paid for and,
Right.
you know, like, I don't know, watch TV all day? Like, yeah, it would be super easy for me to do that, but I'm never going to grow and I'm never going to learn anything if I do that. Something like, of course, I mean, let's not even, my mom would not let me live in her house and pay for my stuff because
Right.
I'm 22. But I think that's just like an extreme example of like, you know, in your personal life as well, you shouldn't be uncomfortable so much that like you're anxious or anything like that.
You stop yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But like, it's like,
on.
yeah, it's like pushing yourself. I don't know.
Agreed.
Not to the limits, but pushing yourself a little bit, you know?
Yeah. And I think that like this is going back just to like imposter syndrome as like a whole. I think that because you mentioned like within creative industries, I think that just as a whole, the creative industry as itself poses so much of an opportunity for imposter syndrome.
Absolutely.
Like personally, Austin's major was math with a minor in statistics. His dream is to be a epidemiologist, and like comparing, like, I mean, obviously we have no idea like where our career paths will go, but like the career path that I'm looking at is like a comparable wage, basically, you know, comparable salary. And there have been times when I'm thinking like, what? Like he's, you know, epidemiology is the study and moving of numbers, basically, or analytics and statistics of healthcare.
Yeah.
And then like I'm doing what? Like, you know, but it's just not still like creative industries still matter, even though you're not
100%.
like, you know, I think you might not be like a healthcare worker, but
exactly. Yeah,
it still is important.
That's like I was saying at the beginning, that's just like imposter syndrome of like your career as a whole, like thinking like, oh, I'm not as important as a doctor, I'm not as important as a whatever. But can you imagine how boring the world would be without any creativity? And like as far as like my work goes, like for me, a lot of times I'm, you know, like my coworkers, for example, are doing like logos and like branding. What if these businesses had no branding?
Right.
How would that work?
Yeah, right.
Or it was all made in like word art, like that wouldn't work. And like for me, a lot of times I'm thinking like, oh, I am running these businesses' entire Instagrams, like, and for me, a lot of times what happens with me is I have this imposter syndrome in my head. I'm like, ooh, I don't know about all this. I make one mistake and I'm like, see, I was right. I was right. You know, I was right. I can't do this. And like, that is so bad. And I have to check myself and be like, I can't spell every single word right every time. Like, it is okay. As long as I can fix it, and as long as I do fix it, it is okay. Like, it does not mean that I'm bad at my job. Like, you know, nobody ever hired me because I got an English degree in the first place anyway.
Right.
You know, it's, as long as I'm proofreading, and, you know, for me, it's like, I'll proofread things and I'll read them so many times that I like miss a misspelled word because I read it like 80 times. But I think realizing that like making mistakes is not confirming that you are unworthy. That's not true. And if your boss or your workplace makes you feel like that, then girl, start applying to other jobs.
That shouldn't be the place that you work. Yeah, I think like, and that's something too that I think comes with like time and with age and with experience. Because I think making mistakes and taking those mistakes and turning them into a learning opportunity is something that is learned, and that's something that I'm definitely having to learn. And so I think that recently with Eat Smarter, I made a mistake. I kind of slacked on something, to be completely frank, and it felt really shit, to be honest. And I totally took that and was like, okay, for the next 3 days, I will feel horrible, and I will only think of those things that I did.
Exactly.
Like, and that's just not like, it's just not productive.
No.
To feel that way. And yeah, I am totally one to sit with my
God, me too. Well, that's because like you said, we're such perfectionists, and like I know you do too. Like, and I'm sure a lot of you listening can relate. I hold myself to such a high standard, and that's something else that I have to remember. Like, there are a lot of people who don't hold themselves to that high of a standard.
Right.
And so I'm sitting here being like, I'm not worthy. When there's people sitting around who think that like, they're not even holding themselves to as high of a standard as me. And like, that's completely fine and normal. Like, it's, you know, just kind of reminding myself that like, I hold myself to such a high standard. And I think a really good example is I've had a couple of hard weeks recently, you know, just things are hard in life sometimes. And whenever I'm having a hard week personally, it's really hard for me to completely show up at work. And one specific week, you know, I was like, the week ended, and then the next week I came back, I was like, listen guys, like, I apologize for not doing my best work last week. Like, I am so sorry. Like, that is not me. That's not who I am. Like, whatever. And they were like, what?
Right.
I was like, wait, what? And they were like, we didn't notice anything, like, except that like, we knew you were like, kind of struggling like with personal stuff, but like didn't reflect in your work at all. You got everything done, you know, whatever. And I was like, okay.
Oh,
all right.
Yeah. And I mean, going off of that, like literally what we just had before we started recording, I made a really stupid, just like not intended, but just like dumb mistake with something. And that totally like, I think Alexis 2 years ago would have probably like cried. Like that would have upset me so much. And it's still, thinking about it, I'm like, oh my God, so dumb.
We were trying to get a guest, and she accidentally typed my name instead of the guest name because we were FaceTiming. So she accidentally typed like, hi Katie instead of hi blank,
whatever.
And so then the person messaged us and was like, my name's not Katie.
I was like,
and we were like, oh no. But like literally it's just an innocent mistake.
It's just stupid. Yeah. Like, but I would have beat myself up for that. And I think also like having someone, like you said, like your coworkers to be like, what? But for you to
they literally were like, huh?
Yeah. But for you to be like, dude, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's, you know, it's just one person. Like, we have other guests. We literally already have like,
we have so many lined up.
We have, we're booking November. So like, literally. I think, we're fine.
We're booking November.
We're like so successful.
We're booking November. If you guys want to book. Actually, this is random, but we've never mentioned this. We do have a guest application if you guys want to come on the podcast and be a guest. So just a little side note, that link is in our bio. So just fill out the application and if you would like to come on. But yeah, I think that like the basis of all of this is separating imposter syndrome from being okay with like you should be okay with learning things and understanding that because you don't know everything, it doesn't mean that you're not worthy. It's really all about like a mindset shift. But like we said, we struggle with this all the time.
I'm sure we'll talk about this many times again.
Oh my God. I'm sure we'll be talking about this in 5 years whenever we both have grad degrees. Like, I don't think anything's going to change it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think like, that's another thing, like degree searching, like it doesn't matter it's more about your mindset, and it's not really like, I feel like if you have imposter syndrome, which I think most people struggle with this at some point in their life, it's not like continuing to get all these degrees is going to fix it. Like,
right. I think also like choosing a path just because you don't know, but like if like Libby, for example, like she has an engineering degree. Do you think in high school she was like, I know nothing about engineering, guess I can't be an engineer?
Exactly.
You know, like that's not
exactly.
That's not the way that it's done. So
yes, 100%. And I think like it's just such an important thing to realize. And another plug to therapy. My therapist has helped me a lot with this too. So anyway, but we're still struggling with it every day.
Also, side note, very, very side note, but I had therapy yesterday and it was very good. So yes, go to therapy.
We're big therapy. I'm trying to get sponsored by BetterHelp. I don't know about you, but
ooh, that's a good sponsor.
I'm trying to get BetterHelp open here. If any of y'all have BetterHelp plugs, tell them that we talk about therapy all the time in our podcast. Anyway,
therapy
heart. Okay, random questions. I just wrote these. If you guys could hear typing, it's because I was writing the random questions, and they're Halloween and fall themed because it's October now, guys. So the first random question is, what is your favorite fall activity? You have so many options. Vermont is fall. Vermont equals fall. Vermont is crazy fall vibes.
Yeah, I basically live in Stars Hollow.
No, literally. Like, what?
Yeah. We should post some of the this week we could post one of the apple picking pictures.
Yes, we took some cute apple pick. We also took some scary ones because we took them with the 0.5 lens, so some of them, our heads look like this long.
Yeah, and they're like warped.
It's horrifying.
Spooky.
It's very spooky.
I would say probably, I don't really like the act of apple picking, but I like going there and I like eating the apple cider donuts.
Yeah.
So that would probably be mine.
That was really fun. That was my first time doing that. But I would say if I'm choosing one that I have access to, my favorite fall activity is either any sort of fall themed cooking, alcohol, drinking, baking experience, you know, like a fun, any sort of themed drink is always fun. But then also there's this pumpkin patch here that I've been meaning to go to. I love going to the pumpkin patch. So fun. And for us, pumpkin patch equals parking lot with pumpkins. But there is one that's kind of further out, and they have like a hayride and all that shit. And like, I know that I'm not about to go on the hayride as a 22-year-old, but I would love to if I could. I was falling asleep last night, and I was like, I can't wait till I have kids and I get to do
the fun stuff.
It's so exciting. But yeah, I would say going to pumpkin patch is very fun, or just, I mean, you know, like going to, we have this coffee shop called O. Henry's here, and they have this like spiced apple cider drink. Oh my God, it's so good. So good. Just doing that, like reading and sitting and lighting a candle. I don't know. That's not really a fall activity.
Yeah, a candle. Ugh, we're not allowed to have candles in our apartment. So stupid.
I would just do it anyway.
I'm a bad bitch. But... Okay. Favorite Halloween movie?
Halloween Town.
Same.
Easy. Yep, okay, same. Well, great. Glad we agree.
Wait, I have a question because I was gonna make this our it's not really a random question, but are you doing Halloween this year? Do you dressing up?
Yeah.
Okay. So Austin, have you ever watched Parks and Rec? You know John Ralphio?
Yeah.
Well, Austin is like, his hair is like kind of grown out right now, and he's contemplating not getting it cut before Halloween so he can go as John Ralphio. So then, of course, I have to go as like a Parks and Rec character. And I really want to go as Ron Swanson. But Austin is saying no. And I really want to go as Ron Swanson.
I think you should. That's hilarious.
Okay, thank you. Because
so funny.
Because also for the wedding, I had to wear makeup, and my face like almost instantly, like after I took it off, had like a reaction. So then I wouldn't have to wear makeup.
All you need is you just part your bangs and wear a fake mustache, and then wear like, that would be hilarious.
Yeah, right?
I'm sure he wants you to like look cute and stuff. You're like, no, I want to be Ron Swanson. He's like, no, look hot. You're like, nah,
son.
That's too good. Yeah, I'm trying to decide because like I'm actually trying to look sexy. I'm probably going to multiple Halloween parties because my friend's roommate's having one, and then we're having one for work at like a bar that like we're not having it, but like we're planning it for one of our clients. So then I feel like I need to go. But anyway, it should be fun. But I thought about being I've thought about being a fairy, but I don't know about all that. And then I also thought about being like, I don't really know what it would be, but some sort of situation where I wear a blazer, pants set, and a bra. I don't know. The Joker is an option with that if I did purple and then like a lime green bra and then makeup. But I don't know. The Joker kind of freaks me out. I don't know about you guys. Like,
really I don't really like the Joker. I saw one that was like from Scooby-Doo, whoever the purple girl is. I forget.
Yeah.
I
thought that could be cute.
Scooby-Doo stands don't come for me for not remembering what her name is.
Why do I want to say Wendy? That's not right.
When it's not Velma, it's Wendy. What? We should stop.
Hold on. Scooby-Doo characters. Daphne.
Oh yeah, that girl that wears purple, Wendy.
I think I was thinking of
Peter Pan or whatever.
Yeah, Peter Pan. All the Disney stands and the Scooby-Doo stands are about to be like, what the? Anyway, I was about to say a bad word, sorry guys. Anyway, yeah, so if you guys, seriously, for real, if you guys have any Halloween costume ideas that are like slightly sexy, but also like I'm not a size 2, keep that in mind, just DM them to me.
Oh, I also thought about, do you know who Lil Sebastian is?
No way.
The like miniature horse.
Bye, Lil Sebastian. Yeah. Oh my god, that is.
Oh my god, I could wear angel wings with it too because he's dead. Oh my god.
Just be like, no, Austin, actually I'm dressing up as an angel. He's so hot. And then show up in a horse costume with angel wings on.
We put on the polls Ron Swanson or
literally. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, guys, be sure to vote. Anyway, we've been talking about BS for a little too long. So thank you guys for listening. Be sure to leave us a rating and review. Please. I love reading them, guys. I love reading them.
It really cheers up my day.
I know. On wherever you listen to your podcasts, and subscribe to keep up with our weekly episodes.
And then follow us on our Instagram account, Check Your Aesthetic Podcast, and our personal accounts, Katie Creative Co. and AlexisAdams.co. Katie's trying to follow along with what I'm saying. Also follow our TikTok, Check Your Aesthetic, and we will talk to you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.